that's perfect for him. That's not a big win though for Targamas too. I might have total.
Zhao with the setup, the follow is there, the knockback from taking the flash out of the moving close against it! First blood for BDS, well played by Nuke and Zhao. Back to Ragnarok, Kai'Sa walks in, devastating, Shattering Strike connects as well. Zhao, ward hop forward, kickback. Kill the Adam, taking their time. Nope, Zhao on a killing spree. Knows he's fed, knows he's powerful, happy to take down with his Adam.
Look right now, I can go after him. Vine no flash.
I can go.
Nice, nice.
Welcome back to the LEC. Adon, merci for joining me. That's my extent of French. That's all I can do. Now, of course, congratulations. You had already locked playoffs. However, it hasn't been the performance that I'm guessing you guys would have expected for that split.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, we still end up in like positive ratio, which is like not the most dramatic stuff. But I think at least how we are as a team right now and how the organization perceive like our goal of this year, like we're supposed to have like higher standards, you know. So finishing like 5-4 is not like, it's decent, right? But it's not up to our expectations. But yeah.
You know what they say, when you make mistakes, you get a chance to learn from them and move on.
That's
However,
true.
when you sat down, I said, yay, congratulations, you've locked in. You said, I'm really sad because I kind of kicked out Kai'Sa.
Yeah, I mean, of course, it had like to be us, you know. This is like the bad luck in a way, I think, because I mean, I really like Kai'Sa a lot, right? And I think it's a shame that, you know, they're eliminated now for the second time. They have players in which, you know, I care a lot about, and I hope that they will stay strong, you know, after this period, because like they still remain insane players, right?
Absolutely, and you've played with them. You have won in the EROs with them, and obviously you want to see them succeed. Long-lasting friendships that you have in this team. And I'm gonna bring up the draft right here, because okay, I'm just gonna read this. I was taking pictures, and I asked you for a picture, and you're like, "Trouble, I can't. I really need to draft." And I'm like, "It's fine, man. You're gonna pick Olaf anyway," and you did.
Yeah, I mean, like, I was kind of hesitating today when I was discussing draft with Striker, and like, what is he gonna play? And there was like two sides that were like 100% sure. He goes Jayce blind with Malphite, or he will just blind pick Gragas. I think he decided to go for Jayce, which I think makes sense because they have Smolder. So I think their game plan was like pretty straightforward from the beginning. They want to put Jayce ahead in the beginning so that he can like have a good scaling and make a bridge until Smolder is unable.
Oh, well, that was a pretty good plan right there. Now, something that's also very weird about your draft is that I was expecting that Rel to go jungle. You know what? Zhao is a little bit of a Setsuani/Rel merchant. He picked the Lee Sin, to surprise to all of us, but you told me a little secret about Zhao and Bo playing Lee Sin.
Yeah, I mean, like the thing is, like Zhao likes to meme a lot about Zhao picking carries jungle before Bo does. So obviously, I think like the Lee Sin pick was also for the meme. I wouldn't say it's 100% for the draft. I would say it's also mostly for meme and for ego as well. Because but I think he really stepped up today. I think Zhao like lately, especially this meta, enables him I think a lot. He's trying to like pull out more of his carry jump, and I think today was a great example of showing his skills.
Absolutely, and he did get Kia Player of the Game as well, so congratulations to him for stepping up and giving us a little bit of more Lee Sin action. Maybe we'll see more Milky Way champions maybe down the line, like a Graves, like a Kindred. He's shrugging, he's like moving his shoulders, he's not going to give me any of that. Now, of course, moving forward, we still have one spot left for playoffs, and it's in between SK and Rogue. Who do you think takes that one?
Hey, I mean, I still would like SK to win. You know, I wouldn't like Nisqy to get eliminated. But if I have one message for Nisqy right now, is just wake up, man.
What do you think has been going wrong?
He's sleeping too much. Stop having fun, man. Like he went karting yesterday night instead of spamming solo queue. What a big mistake.
Okay, thank you very much, Adam, for the interview. Last message to the desk is Nisqy needs to wake up. Do you guys agree?
All right, thank you so much for that insight. Nisqy, wake up. That is something that we're going to be discussing ahead of the competition because we are looking at Rogue going up against SK. But before we head into that, I think something we need to really highlight is how the spring season overall has played out. You might be thinking, what do you mean? It's already been 5 B1s today. That's how it usually goes. Not today. We've got a tiebreaker. But before we head into that, Fnatic have officially locked in first.
What year is it? I don't know. Feels old school to me. I see G2 in second as well, tied with Vitality. Woo. Heretics, like, top end of the schedule is a lot tighter, or the standings rather, is a lot tighter than I initially thought it was going to be going into this spring. I'm pleasantly surprised. I'm hoping the gameplay is going to continue elevating it going into the best of series, but for now, what a tight lead we have there.
Yeah, and with the loss as well coming through from Karmine Core, unfortunately it does mean that they are eliminated. They are not in contention for playoffs anymore. They are in that 10th spot, going 2-7. Unfortunately, we didn't see them in playoffs during winter either, so that is a peculiar position to be in, and the fans have been supporting them through thick and thin, and that is something that they should be very proud of.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you know, they had a bit of a resurgence, 2 wins. You know, they actually managed to pick it up. At some point, you thought, right, they had it all together, but unfortunately, still not the case.
Not there. But that brings us to the tiebreaker, right? That brings us to SK going up against Rogue. And you might be thinking, wait, we've seen that earlier today. Yes, you have. And it went actually in favor of Rogue, and they looked very strong. A lot of different points that they were able to bring to the table. When we're looking at SK, we just heard it from Adam, we want them to wake up.
Absolutely. And Rogue this time around, since they have the luxury of choosing side selection as well, they've gone for the blue side, which obviously makes it a lot easier for them to draft the priorities. We've seen a lot they've gone for today as well. I think it's interesting as well, because in contrast to that, it puts SK in the back end going into these drafts. I think recently as well, SK in general, they've just been a bit slow with their drafts, so in terms of like finding a clear win condition with them too. I think, Eragon as well, you've been talking a lot specifically about your issues with them too.
I think it's been a bit strange, right? They had such weird plans going into the 2 most recent games, at the very least before today, where, for example, against G2, they left open Draven, which is a big no-no usually, only to counterpick with Xayah Rakan, which just gets absolutely blasted early game. And then in the game against Vitality, I believe, they lock Maokai Corki, which is one of the most sleeper drafts I've ever seen. It's probably what Adam was referring to with the wake up. You just can't do anything, right? You're a package salesman. You just have to wait to scale up with the Rockets. But I think it's completely fake because they drop Nisqy down to 4-5 and there's just no picks left because the mid lane pool's pinched. I think they've absolutely got to change up the way they draft because it's not been good enough.
Something that they will have to improve for this one, because at the end of the day, it is going to be a BO1. And we've already seen a couple of tricks from Rogue coming out with their game against SK, but particularly their compositions have been different.
I think from the side of Rogue compared to SK here, I think they've finally just woken up with one specific player, and that specific player has been Markoon. I thought going into this split, or at least with the meta as I saw it was gearing up, Volibear, these early game junglers that we would see from him would be where he suddenly starts taking charge for the team, because this Rogue roster had not been proactive. I thought he was going to fix it, he didn't, but going into this week, he absolutely did. He's been so active, and he's been driving them ahead to put them in comfortable positions for the mid to late game.
They're constantly finding these huge wombo combo engages with the Ori ball delivery on the Volibear with the flash, finding all these ganks on the Viego. I'm a little worried about how the game goes for the side of SK because Nisqy, in my opinion, has been really struggling, at least in terms of the early game, getting ganked a bunch. You know, oftentimes he will just die because there's no supporting vision, get caught under tower. There's so many things that go wrong in the mid lane. When you have a veteran like Nisqy, he needs to step up.
Yeah, and absolutely, and that's a guy you got to shut down now. That is Isma, who also needs to step up to recover the lanes that Markoon will be attacking, as you said yourself, and we also saw it in the clip with Nisqy kind of just being isolated, getting ganked by the enemy jungler. Well, you need to make sure that a guy like Nisqy is set up for the 2v2. It used to be what he was known for. It used to be the guy that has the best 2v2 in the jungle, or in mid-jungle in the league, but we've not seen it recently, and we need Isma and Nisqy to step up again if they want to bridge some of the pressure that Rogue has implied on other sides of the map.
Sounds like both of you, to an extent, have made up your mind, but whether or not it's going to be Rogue that's going to take this one is something we're going to find out, because as we promised, this is going to be the last game of the LEC Spring regular split. So let's head over to our casters, who are going to be breaking down SK going up against Rogue once again.
Thank you very much to the wonderful Analyst desk, as well as Adam, for that insightful and honest interview. Just straight calling out Nisqy. Nisqy's just, I can't say he's catching strays, because I think that the focus is like what needs to change for SK, but I think that is a lot of pressure for any one player to put on their shoulders. The good news, Nisqy's a veteran. You have to hope that he can handle it, because if not, Rogue against all odds, against all expectations, especially after their first loss at the start of this week of play, are going to be going to playoffs. So we head into draft again. Draft's pre-recorded, so we'll see what they opted for this time around.
I do think as well in SK, like, Irrelevant has just been straying. I think this guy really needs to, like, he has been so good for so long. He's gotten so much praise, but these last few games just really have not been it for him. He has gone way too far forward, not having the support of the team. Looks like he's on a very different page. So I'm curious to see exactly what the game plan is here for SK. As we're already into the draft, Karma taken immediate Jayce pick alongside the Maokai. So this feels to me like they're going back towards, hey, we want significantly more comfort. We want Nisqy on some sort of carry, and we're going to let Isma try and play around that here in the jungle.
Karma locked. Xin locked as well. It was the Viego from Markoon that really allowed Rogue to find the first win at the start of the day against SK Gaming. Again, set up on an aggressive jungler's Rogue debate on what they want their third pick to be here in the first round. They're hovering a lot of funny stuff, but it might be something less exciting. I really want it to be like at least most of these. Please pick something fun.
It'll be Zeri.
Don't.
I'm really sorry. It'll be Zeri.
This is the only one that they've hovered that I don't want it to be. And that one. And also that one. Okay, I take it back. Never mind. This is why we don't talk about the hovers. No, Smolder!
I thought they'd actually go towards the Zeri, because I think Zeri Karma is a combo that's really sick, because you do get the shield, and then you can take something a little bit more engage heavy for Zoelys, which is where he's felt more comfortable, like the Blitzcrank earlier on, right? But unfortunately, not going to be the case. Instead, we're going to get the Karma coming across for Exakick. So I'm starting to believe that this might be a mid lane Jayce for Nisqy, and essentially we're going to see that poke Karma build, or sorry, poke Kai'Sa build come out. They try and play at range. If you try and engage here as against SK, just get the Maokai ult immediately.
The poke Kai'Sa build?
Yeah, and I think you can probably go for even the Renata here for DOS if you really want, and it's just wave after wave of do not touch us.
And I think Renata's DOS's best champ. I think it has been since the winter of last year. I think when SK's bot lane really caught everyone's attention was a lot of those Zeri Renata games from DOS and Exakick. See if they can replicate that with potentially a Kai'Sa Renata, or if that's something that Rogue want to take away. I have not been impressed with Smolder at all since the hotfix.
Yeah.
I think teams have just gotten more comfortable playing against the pick for the most part. And the good news for Rogue, though, I like that they have a strong jungle matchup early, because very often I feel like we see teams draft a losing jungle matchup and Smolder, and that feels like a death sentence in the early game. This time around, that Markoon, similar to our first game of the day, is set up for success. Zhao incredibly powerful against a lot of these poke options.
Especially if that is a mid Karma, you can play heavily for those early skirmishes, and even play for push invade on mid, onto something like the Maokai, which could be very much where they want to try and play towards. A lot of time hovering on this last one, though. I do think it will potentially be the Renata ban, just to try and take that away here from DOS, because even if you don't necessarily, okay, they're not going to, because they're going to say even if you don't necessarily play with the Kai'Sa, you just slap the bailout. Okay.
Wait, who does it belong to? I know. We're all thinking it. It's probably bottom, especially against the Smolder, because he doesn't do anything early game, but could still go top.
Yeah, we have seen it over in the LPL on both sides, right? You get like YSKM, who's willing to play a top side, hasn't exactly had a great win rate on us, but still willing to play it in that top side. And then you've obviously seen Haley bring it out. We've seen Wandy bring it out over in the LPL. So I definitely think it is somewhere that we could see the Camille. That's why I think Finn isn't sure exactly what he wants to try and bring out here.
Ooh, debating. Gnar, of course, historically has struggled into the Camille. You have to be really flawless on the hopbacks to safety. So Kai'Sa just taking kind of the safest option into whatever is going to get thrown at him. If it is a Camille topside, there will be a lot of physical damage on SK Gaming. Then we will almost certainly see the poke Kai'Sa build, I think, to balance things out. But still the debate here for Rogue on their last pick. Nautilus pretty stock standard.
I think it'll be Camille support. I think they end up tossing. I think you're happy to. You could put the Camille top into Kai'Sa. It's not a terrible matchup, but I do think that taking something a little bit more like setup heavy for Relevant, I think could work out a little bit better. And then you can just play hyper aggressive into the Smolder in the bot lane, especially when you should have push on mid. Eventually in this matchup for Nisqy as well, you got good setup coming through from the Maokai. Very easy target selection for SK if they do put this Camille bot side.
Players taking to the stage. They already know what they've selected. We're finding out what the last pick will be. So Gnar locked in up against the Kai'Sa. It will be the Camille support. Very feast or famine. But despite that pressure, DOS look pretty good, look pretty happy coming onto stage. So a bit of optimism for me in terms of how this is going to go. Certainly the tools to dominate early game, at least on the bottom side of the map for SK Gaming. The jungle, a bit of a point of concern. Isma, a good player, but Maokai, not the most impactful champ in terms of the 1v1.
Yeah, that's why I wasn't sure if Zoelys was going to go for something like the Braum to try and like tank up the Maokai ult, tank up some of the poke that can come through from Nisqy and Exakick. But I think they do just need a guaranteed engage tool, which is where they're a little bit caught out. It was like you want that point and click CC, I should say, from the Nautilus to set you up, but it's not the best of times, especially paired with a Smolder and also against the Camille. So SK very much focused on bot side. We're going to have to see if they can try and get that ball rolling, or do they just succumb to the late game prowess of Rogue.
Conversations already amongst the SK members. Of course, the luxury of the pre-recorded drafts is you can really plan out your early game. The downside is if you get too set into that plan and something goes awry, it's going to be harder to adapt on the fly. You need to still be on your toes, ready to do whatever. And it's a story, two very different stories for this team. Yes, they're in the tiebreaker, but Rogue, it's been the surprise rise from nowhere. When they were losing, it was not a surprise to anyone that they were losing. It was slow games. They weren't doing much. They've managed to turn it around in the last moments. SK Gaming, on the other hand, have been winning, I would argue, more than half the games that they ended up losing. They have been in incredibly strong commanding positions, and it has been throws that have cost them so dearly, that have put them in this position. So when we talk momentum, Rob, I think it heavily favors Rogue.
It has been Rogue stepping up though when the pressure's been off, right? It hasn't been them when they still had they still have a chance, obviously, but it's been like less likely that they'd be able to make it. Now coming in down to the wire, can they make it work for them up against SK? Or, as you say, can SK find that magic? Can Irrelevant start to play with the team again? Can Exakick and DOS really step up on this hyper-aggressive bot lane? Either way, one of these teams getting sent home, it's going to be heartbreak galore on both of these occasions.
Regardless of the result, someone's going to be sad. Of course, we talked about it. Confidence big for Rogue. Percentage of remaining scenarios were not high for Rogue to make it through. They lost the first game. It felt like a guaranteed death sentence, but they surprised everyone beating G2. They beat SK today as well, keeping their destiny more or less in their own hands. Now one final push. Markoon in the interview talking about confidence, gaining the confidence to play on stage the way that so many Rogue fans have been waiting to see since he was first signed to this lineup. The opposite side for SK, they need to just let it all wash away, all the failures, all the mistakes. Focus on how they win this one, which probably starts with that double hail of blades that you see on the bottom right-hand side of the screen. DOS and Exakick, as you highlighted in the draft, Rob, they're here to mess people up. They need to get a lead, they need to get it fast, and they need to take over before Comp comes online.
I'm kind of surprised the Comp go for the TP and then the Ignite on Zoelys in this matchup. I really thought they'd actually try and take an exhaust and just try and take a heal, make sure you're able to survive the laning phase, because it's not so much that you're going to get poked out and you get the opportunity to CP back in. It's going to be an all-in, and SK already looking for that right now.
Contra Q, hookshot, wall dive. DOS just finding a nice bit of damage onto Larssen. Damage that will stick unless Larssen wants to burn his TP. So Nisqy, initially it looks bad as he tanks the Soul Flare there from Larssen, but overall health trade still in favor of SK.
And even able to pick up the ward off the back of the play as well. So we'll know exactly what's happening. Markoon going to try and contest as he comes through. Not going to take the Wolf, but Isma.
He's going to spot him and just leave. You have no shot in the 1v1.
Still though, managed to get one of the camps away. And Isma?
Prio belongs to Nisqy right now. He's getting the push out level 1. Obviously has access to 2 spells as the Jayce. Now taking over to level 2. Red will reset. Messy on the bottom side, but again, the more they disrupt the Xin early, the less time he has to try and get some of these ganks. Maokai was already going to be doing nothing early, so this doesn't hurt too bad.
The Q not hitting, though, actually makes this a little bit slower. DOS going to come in with Exakick to try and make sure they can get this red. So nicely done already to disrupt Markoon. He's going to lose both the Wolves and the red and the interrupt. So he should be able to cross over, I believe, through mid, get his own top side, and prevent any sort of counter punch coming through here from Markoon, but actually going to enter into spot side. I thought he'd cross over because you've got push mid, you got push on top side as well. And that could have been how you just shut Markoon out in these early stages, but maybe a little bit worried that if he didn't.
Getting run down in lane, he burned through all of his mana in that trade. Both mid laners will have a pot, both of them using the last one. Ticking up here is Irrelevant. Good advantage on top side, keeping Finn under his tower. Very close early game. Gold still favoring Larssen in the mid lane slightly. Here comes Isma.
Oh, this could be where it's either works out well or the game ends right now for SK. This is risky.
This is the dive that could define their season. Where is it going to go? DOS burning, ticking the Ignite already there. He's getting out to safety. The Ignite still burning. DOS might just drop. The hook now going in. SK have fumbled the bag. Comp getting first blood, the worst possible outcome.
It's so difficult to dive against the Nautilus because he's so many routes, so many forms of CC to keep you in check. And Comp can just hop out over the wall. Really risky play, and especially when Isma didn't really get the reset on the aggression like you would want to. Sets up perfectly for Rogue to turn that one around.
And you can't let it phase you. You just have to go to the next one. Smolder's still weaker overall. Sucks to have the gold deficit, but can't let it get in your head. But crushing there, and that's part of the reason I think Zoelys took the Ignite. It says, look, I can exhaust you, most certainly, but it's not going to make my Smolder do more damage. If I pack more burst early on, at least maybe I can punish the dive that's coming out.
As well, gives time to Markoon to get himself back into shape. Manages to get top scuttle. Got Raptors on the opposite side, and now going to be able to move back into his bot side as his Raptors start to respawn as well. So picking up a lot of these camps that have already respawned at the higher level as Exakick will be able to get the shove in.
Walks up, Akathian Rain. Isma going to try and hold the wave as Larssen. Small XP advantage until Nisqy picks up these creeps. Bit of a difficult situation. Vision on Markoon crucial early on. Scryer's Bloom should spot him, no. Just the edge there, sneaking his way down to the bottom lane. I like the early itemization coming in from Comp. He did TP back to lane, but he gets the Swifties. Just wants to stay out of range of that Camille, make it that much harder to land the hookshot wall dive, make sure that he can just walk in, walk out on these trades. And you can see SK are playing scared. They don't have perfect information on where Xin is, and they also just know that they're weaker right now. Exakick has no mana. He hasn't recalled yet. He hasn't spent any of his money, and he's already at a deficit.
Because he's going to start to reset now, but this is a bit of a woeful timing because realistically, oh, hang on, topside Irrelevant.
Pull back from Finn. Good. Trying to keep this trade going. Irrelevant wants to go Mega. We'll get some of that health back. Finn, though, out of mana, is going to be forced to TP soon.
Big wave loss on bot side, though, so Exakick getting weaker, even in the grand scheme of things. Opting into the Cull and Tier. This is going to be on DOS to try and make this lane be aggressive and have damage, because this is not the buy that you want. You just don't have any sort of burst damage to follow up on the Camille. Now, DOS obviously does have a lot of damage innately to himself because he's the Camille support, but I think I would have preferred a more aggressive build here for Exakick. Even if you get the Tier, just get, well, you got a longsword at least, but get a bit more aggressive stats there.
Yeah, it's tough. They're at a deficit. Range so low for Kai'Sa early on that you're getting poked out by a lot of incidental damage like the Riptide, like the Super Scorcher Breath from Comp. So Cole gives a bit of extra sustain in this context, bit of extra gold. Tier comes in as well. Muramana presumably on the horizon alongside something like Crypt Bloom. Again, we'll highlight the build more as it comes to fruition. Level 6 there for Finn. Irrelevant still trying to play on the edge. Only a small gold lead in top side. Ninja Tabby for Ninja Tabby, and now DOS trying to get out of lane. Again, the 2v2. Maybe at level 6 it gets easier, but again, Comp and Zoelys already sitting comfortable. And it is a dragon, but it's traded for grubs.
You're fine with that as Rogue, though. I mean, realistically, you're not trying to play for any sort of early aggressiveness around this Smolder. You're more playing to say, hey, we're going to scale well. Cool, let's get some Void Grubs. If we get an opportunity to take a chip at tower, get a little bit of the place for ourselves, we're in a much better position. So, may even look for an invade on the top side here, actually. Is Isma going to spot out Markoon?
Just look at how confident Zoelys and Comp are playing, though. How many times have we just seen a Smolder scared under their tower for the first 20 minutes of a game? But this little lead, this little advantage, the Swifties making the trades earlier, easier. The rough first item buy for Exakick. This lane is so free right now.
You're also playing a poke-heavy composition as SK. Like, if this starts to fall behind, you're just not going to have a fun time. You're going to lose towers, you're going to lose control over objectives, and you're going to have a lot of pressure that come through from Markoon and Larssen, like playing off of this composition, boss.
Reset from DOS takes him into mid lane. Doesn't want to burn the flash to extend the hookshot wall dive, but Markoon is here. Wind becomes lightning, trying to predict the flash from Nisqy, but doesn't quite hit the angle. Respect for that, though. Almost catches him on the way out, at least getting a bit of extra poke. DOS now covering.
Can use this to get a lot of vision on this bottom side, though, which I think they should be trying to achieve here as Rogue. If you can point out where Isma is, it makes it very difficult for DOS to try and go aggressive, but not having enough wards available at the moment to try and get in and get that vision down. Markoon?
Level 6. Zoelys is here as well. Isma only level 5. They don't have a ton of damage, but obviously with the reset coming in from Larssen, SK know they're stronger, can at least step up and contest there.
SK are trying desperately to find something. They know that the longer this game keeps going in the position that it's in, Rogue are going to outscale. So trying to link with Nisqy, find a kill there, trying to work with Isma to get something, but they're just not working out. And the fact that you're not having contentions coming through from Rogue means you can't really use this combo of Isma, who will have the ult available soon, but Nisqy as well. Like, you kind of have to play for this level 6 off of Maokai.
Pushback from Irrelevant, solid, positive health trade. Bomb being called. Comp wants to get this wave in. Just deleting that one. This is the most favorable Smolder early game we have seen.
Big time.
Maybe this entire split. I can't remember every single Smolder game, but they are literally holding waves with Nautilus HP bar so he can Q hit every single minion. He has 64 stacks, 9 minutes into the game. It's only going to get faster when he gets closer and hits 125. And Larssen's sitting pretty. Everyone's sitting comfortable. Irrelevant's 800 gold lead isn't going to mean much if Rogue continue with this pace.
Larssen is going to start to get really uncomfortable though, because you can already see it. DOS starting to move around mid. Level 6 hit from Maokai. They just want to try and go for this ult combo set up with DOS and get the pick onto Larssen. So has flash available, which is going to be a lifesaver for him at least once, but needs to be really quick on that trigger finger. And that's why Zoelys and Comp starting to lean in towards this mid lane, try to spot out some of that vision, but actually don't spot out that ward. So I give a lot of information as to what Markoon is up to, especially as his Raptors start to respawn.
Comp gonna clear out a bit of vision here. Did he not see that ward either?
No, it doesn't off the pink, and it doesn't catch that off the sweep. Hasn't. Yeah, it didn't even catch on the sweeps.
I mean, well played from DOS. Use that brief moment where they had priority to lay down such good vision on the bottom side. Perfect information on Markoon. Really stops Rogue from making any super proactive plays here. But again, Comp left to free farm. He is a ticking time bomb. SK, can't really walk up and harass right now. They just aren't stronger.
I think they got to try and pull something cheeky off. Like, play where you're not really expecting. Like, dive Finn in topside with the 3 members, get DOS up there. Do something, right? Because as long as you continue to play this by the book, realistically, Markoon and Zoelys have been moving around to try and take care of Larssen. Larssen playing very safe under his tower to just shove all day. At least shove the wave out all day. So you have to make something happen elsewhere. And they're just not really setting up well enough to try and go for that right now.
DOS at least protecting Nisqy. Feels like they've just kind of abandoned bot side. DOS not going to be able to input buffer the hook shot. Rogue are the ones who set the trap. Rogue are the ones who try to catch them in rotation. SK pretty confident with the amount of vision they had, but we're not ready for that one. Excellent pick from Zoelys and Markoon.
I know you got to run for the hills as Exakick. You can't try and stay underneath the tower because, well, Smolder's there. You don't know where the Zhao is. DOS is trying to get back to bot lane. Finn spots the rest of SK on the top side of the map. So Dragon could be the call in 30 seconds if they're not just going to kill Exakick.
Larsen's grabbing a plate. Meanwhile, on the bottom lane, Smolder's continuing to push in, continuing to stack, might get a plate of his own. And what is another rotation of grubs really worth in the context of this game? That's 2 plates for Larssen. Things are going to bad for Morse incredibly quickly. It might not look like it now. Yes, it's only a 1k gold lead, but the Smolder is scaling for free. The poke that SK could bring to the table, in theory, isn't going to mean much when Karma is even with this Jayce and can block so much of it with the Mantra E, the Defiance.
Reset going to come through for Dragon in a second as well. And as you say, what's a grub to a Dragon? Isma wants to try and get in towards mid lane. Larssen stepping up aggressively, but yeah, just able to exit out bot side. And this is the thing. Again, Larssen can just wave clear so consistently here at such long range. And it makes it so hard to play this combo.
How many people just live in Larsen's lane right now? You should be charging SK rent. They're there so consistently, but they've yet to get the flash. They haven't gotten a kill. They just keep fishing and they keep coming up empty-handed. Good news is the Dragon didn't drop. Rogue weren't far enough ahead to get pressure on bot side as well as the Dragon. So now SK are going to try and force Markoon in the area. Larssen pushed back. It looks like Rogue are willing to concede this one. 2 Drakes to SK, perhaps an avenue to come back here. Maokai all big. Markoon will get rooted. Comp will sidestep as the jungler does body block, so no opportunity for recourse there. Isma just trying to make sure they have the space to get out. Another plate gonna fall, again, into the back pocket of Comp. His gold lead only getting bigger.
What an insane story this would be for Rogue if they actually managed to pull this off, because coming into this weekend, sitting at 1 win, they beat G2, they beat SK today, and now they might just do it a second time as they look for another dive. Look at Nisqy though, starting to roam down here. Rogue, their timer's starting to fade, but they're not gonna over-risk it. They know, hey look, we're getting the win, we're getting Comp the gold. Just chill.
And how many times did it feel like this season that SK had just won a game, and if they had won, we wouldn't even be in this tiebreaker situation.
True.
And so it's not just this last week where Rogue have finally found their form, finally found their confidence. Markoon especially working so well with Zoelys in this game. Zoelys now hooking in, potentially an over-aggressive play, but I respect the confidence, at least forcing the smite out. Now all these mistakes come back to bite SK as Rogue are surging at the exact right time and SK just continue to falter.
It's Eragon. What do you do is oh, hang on, Exakick.
Nothing, he's just trying to keep the tower up. Just threatening, just posturing like there's someone else there for backup.
They did have the deep ward, so I think Rogue were kind of caught off guard by that one. We're just like, hang on, there has to be something we've missed here, so they back it on up, but DOS now entering into this bot side jungle, we need to get some vision down. But there's nothing even here to try and steal. There's no wave to try and go for a dive. The reset going to come through for Comp and Zoelys as well. They're going to spend their much-earned gold, and they're totally fine. You can see... Like, look how safe Comp is. He was like, I'm not even going to back a turret with 0 wave. I'm going all the way out of here, so there's no hope you can look for a dive.
This is brutal. 2 plates to 6. SK, 1.3 behind the Drakes. I think the big hope here. And while the gold isn't, you know, a death sentence, I think it's really just the continued scaling of the Smolder that starts to become a bigger and bigger problem.
But it's also so different. Like, oh, hang on.
Larssen. Nice sidestep on the shock blast. Flash out to safety. Root not quite going to connect onto DOS. It looks like the Herald will reset. How much more do Rogue want to stick around? Finn already aside of the bottom lane. Irrelevant going to respawn. 3 members of SK. Taken home in the mid lane. Rogue, a similar story. But Comp's already started the objective. Isma on the way in. Exakick used his ult earlier. Doesn't have that tool. Bomb ready and waiting. Back up her son.
Huge amount of vision on the bot side to spot out if Finn does start to TP. Tower will fall. Just to the minion wave. But this...
Herald's going to fall as well. Ulti goes in. Nice sidestep. TP coming in. SK looking to bet it all here, hoping this is their opportunity to turn it back around. But Exakick's got no ult. And Markoon's looking to punish. He does have a flash out. Irrelevant now stepping in. Rogue has to be careful about moving into this choke. Wall up there. Irrelevant. Flash up. Looking for the angle on Gnar. They will at least get the pick back, but they concede the Herald.
A kill is nothing, though. You needed so much more from SK, and Rogue just don't commit. An awful lot of times we kind of talk about Rogue saying, hey, they're playing too slow, they're not doing anything, but this is smart, slow play from Rogue. They're covering their bases, they got the objective, and it's only Markoon that dies. So for SK, you needed to find something off the back of this. Top tower could at least give you something here, but you can see Larssen here. You've also got Zoelys coming as well.
Larssen waiting until he's got a support on the way before he steps up to try to clear that wave. Willing to give up some tower damage as yet another Mantra Q lands. So oppressive. SK maybe trying to catch Rogue as they overstep. Recall started in the brush. Larssen, is he going to walk up here? I think he just doesn't need to take any risks as long as he plays really safe. Rogue are so favored.
This is slightly risky though for Rogue. I think at this stage you do actually abandon this top side off this next wave. They could set up for a dive. Xin Zhao's in that bottom half of the map, and I think you could have tried to crest check onto mid lane turret, but the wave, again, just Larssen clearing it out.
And you have to wonder if SK should just go for the dive anyway, but they don't have perfect information. They don't want to risk it. So the gold is close. The gold is so close, and most of that is irrelevant right now. Holding on to a CS lead despite conceding that tower, has the single kill in his name. Triforce there as well. We've seen miraculous Gnar ultimates turn games, but it's a lot to ask of Irrelevant after the week he's had. Struggled in a lot of these games. Of course, this is the time to turn it on, no doubt. Putting all your hopes on a single player, a terrible position to be in.
Top lane going to be the focus for Rogue. Herald invested as well. You can see Comp starting to lean up towards that top side. Is Finn going to move over to mid to cover there as well. So we'll have a slight numbers advantage here on top side for Rogue, and that's why Isma has to flash away from that hook. Knew that would have been a death sentence.
Comp wandering down. 141 broke the 125 point. So now much easier. And here comes Herald round 2. Larssen feeling confident. Exakick. Ulting and getting pulled back by Finn anyway. The timing from Finn, flawless. Don't quite have the follow-up as Herald. Gonna wander back into mid lane and get taken out by the tower. Won't be able to charge there. SK continuing to step in. Period of time where DOS was really powerful. It started to fade away. Can still be a massive threat in terms of CC as Comp and Rogue group is 4. Nisqy will get the top lane tower.
SK,
does have
just
TP.
give us. Just give us. You get the tower. You don't need the dragon. You've already got 2. SK, I don't think you commit for this.
Bit of a spectator objective here. Is Isma just going to try to 50-50, hoping for the 3rd Drake? They're spending a lot of time but at least they're ensuring that they can stop Rogue recalls. They got the TP out from Comp. Ulti in now. The Smolder cannot come from the fight. The knockback is there. The Crescent Guard. Irrelevant needs to knock 2 on the wall, and they might have found the angle. Their Dragon's already down, but Rogue now starting to fall. 2 members picked up. SK patient on the play. The TP from Nisqy paying off.
As soon as Rogue commit Comp to the top side, Nisqy just TPs down. They were able to find the numbers advantage. Really well played by SK. They were happy to give the position on the Dragon, because as soon as you're in that position, Rogue are overextend the Isma with a great ultimate across the back of the pit, and then Nisqy able to come back. At this stage, I think you had to give up tower or commit to a fight. But Rogue do nothing and get caught with their pants down.
And now, you know, you've got the Luden's Companion coming in from Exakick. The poke is going to start to hurt both mid and bot. Closer and closer to fully stacked up on that tier. Poke is going to start to hurt here. There's a glimmer of hope for the side of SK. 1K gold lead in their favor. 2 Drakes, something to play around now. They don't have to be as scared. Comp, though, still ahead of schedule in terms of stacks. 19 minutes in, he's at 163. So SK have to play flawless if they want to win this game out against a fully stacked Smolder. Can never let themselves get low. Have to make sure every fight is in their favor.
And that's why you need to commit multiple members to mid lane here. The thing is, with Comp having push in mid, it gets really difficult for Zoelys not to just fly back and forth, matching wherever Isma and Dossa are going to be placing the map. You need to commit members to mid to get push, to get this mid tower, and try and shove that wave right the way in. As soon as Comp is accepting that wave under the tier 2, then you've opened up enough space in the map for Dossa and Isma to start to lean into side lanes, create pressure there. And that's why at the moment, Zoelys happy to just sit here with Comp, make sure that they're not getting bullied out of mid lane. And you can even see Markoon as well, setting up vision, gets the Scuttle Crab, getting some of the pink ward in the top side of the river.
Relevant, just continuing to hit the tower here. Focused on the objective, about to go Mega. Nisqy waiting in the darkness. Finn goes for the pullback. Finn goes for the all-out. Irrelevant holding, waiting for the TP to complete. Nisqy needs to back up, though. He's about to get rooted down. He goes into the tower, just desperately wants to finish it. Goes for the full committal here as Finn just backs away from the Gnar. Irrelevant goes over the wall. He gets 1, but now Doss is on the way in, and Larssen needs to run. That's Hextech ultimatum. Larssen caught up, but Rogue are here for the turn again. SK have just overcommitted, and Rogue are there to punish. Double kill for the Smolder.
That's exactly what I was talking about. If you don't get control of mid, it's so easy for Rogue to answer for these side lane plays. The push comes through with the 3-man stack from the mid lane. And as soon as SK try to commit to this, the immediate roam down. So even though you have Doss, you're completely desynced. You can't link both the Kai'Sa and the Maokai onto this bot side. And Rogue collapsed beautifully here to turn this one around.
And I gotta say, credit to Larssen. He's been on the edge of death so many times. He absorbed so much pressure in the early game. And while he hasn't had the flashiest impact on this one, he just keeps managing to survive. He built the Banshees. He knows his role. Just live, protect the Smolder. That's all he has to do. A little bit safer now for the plays to come. The Banshees effective against the poke, but the Acathian Rain will knock it off. Rogue start to look towards the Baron soon.
I think it's going to be more getting vision and trying to get this mid lane tower for the moment. Yes, Comp can do a lot of damage, but they do need to wait up Zoelys. Spots Isma. This may be an overextension, though.
Nisqy here, too. Zoelys, Celestial opposition, and Aftershock fading away. That should just be a dead Nautilus. Overconfidence, and now Irrelevant here. This could be big. The punish massive as Irrelevant has already moved down. Larssen not going to be able to get away from this one. There's just too much CC. All of Rogue running, and this is their chance. Because while Rogue are slow on the Baron, SK will tear through it with the power of that Kai'Sa.
Way too far for Zoelys. They didn't have that mid lane turret down. No one could link up with them. And immediately SK realized a great TP from Irrelevant to shut out Larssen as well. And that's Baron given across. A massive upset for Zoelys.
Has stepped so far, so many days. Overconfidence when he moved into the blue earlier. Pushing Isma away, forcing the smite. Felt that same confidence stepping into the jungle, but this time it was punished. SK, gold advantage. Poke build starting to come online. The Maokai, in terms of relevancy, it feels like it's already more powerful than the Xin in a lot of circumstances. The tools are there for SK now to bring it home, but they have to play clean.
Rogue did get the mid lane tower down, though. And with the push the Comp has, they can actually push that mid-weight into the tier 2. You can see Exakick stepping back into mid lane to accept the wave. 16 seconds on towards Dragon. Next wave, Comp pushes, and immediately Rogue want to try and move in towards River. So SK already setting up here, but they do risk a potential as Rogue start to push in towards the tier 2. Larssen isn't with them though, he was spot on top side. SK considering going for the all-in there, not having teleport for Larssen could have been a bit worrisome there, and honestly, we'll just give Dragon to SK.
Interesting position for SK, of course, desperately want to secure Soul Point, not an ideal use of the Baron. You'd always love to be pushing towers, but know that this is their one guaranteed window of strength. Again, pushing into towers against the Smolder is difficult because you're just giving him free stacks if you do not take the objective. 206 for comp, a couple waves away. Honestly, could just get it in the middle of a fight if SK are able to find one.
No real commitment though. You see Irrelevant already moved topside to try and push out that way, but I think you just let it go so you can get this mid lane Terra now. It will fall in the next wave, but SK kind of spreading themselves a little bit thin at the moment. Not able to get too much more. A minute on this, the Red Bull Baron power play. You'll get 2 more waves, but you're not really going to get anything apart from this mid lane turret, so not a huge amount gained for SK in the grand scheme of things.
But you buy more time to get to third items. Pen is starting to come through. Components there, and the Blightning Jewel, as well as the Last Whisper on the side of SK. Irrelevant still bowling in on the top side, has the Black Cleaver as well. Has just been running top lane. 2.6k individual gold lead, no doubt the hero of this game. The good moments from SK to bring themselves back, but Irrelevant so consistent in this one when it matters most. 2-1 and 3. Set up to succeed with counter pick. SK getting paid for that investment in him.
But this is exactly where SK want to be. They want to be able to start to poke. They want to be able to look to siege up. They want to be able to group underneath these towers and look for Isma to zone them off like this. Not a huge amount of poke done, but Zoelys.
Comp has to be careful about stepping this far in. Instantly, the Gnar is going to knock him into the wall. The wall up, ready and available. It's just 100-0. Might as well be a burst mage. The shield does not matter. They're going to get one back. Irrelevant now going to be in trouble, but they can't burn him down. SK, they smell blood in the water. They need to go. The Mantra Qs from Larssen are massive to the Soul Flare. The first one to get connect. Wants to get another. He's hitting so many targets. He just keeps firing them out, but the wave is here. SK, objective in their sights is the Baron phase. They will take the tier 2.
Finn went over the wall and Irrelevant didn't, so Finn essentially just stuck on the opposite side in his own base as Irrelevant manages to step away, but this was great. Group up the siege is perfect, and that ult from Isma locking up comp as well, as Irrelevant able to pick him off with Zoelys down on the top side. And they're not sure if we get to see it here, but Finn, watch the ult here. Finn goes over the wall, but Irrelevant doesn't. And it means that then Irrelevant able to walk away, just a couple more autos could have finished him off. And then SK back it on up and are able to walk away.
You can see the hope, you can see the optimism, the fear in the faces of the SK staff. They know. Ball is in their court. It has been so many times. The gold lead feeling massive, feels nigh insurmountable. It is still against the Smolder. Comp still 3 stacks away from that execute. Things get a little easier if they get Soul.
But this is the thing, the safe space on the map here for Rogue has gone completely away. All you really get is this position that is really going to be safe. Apart from that, you don't control your jungle anymore unless DOS takes a step too far forward. But it means that you constantly, if you want to try and defend this bot lane Terra, have to wrap all these little jump points around, whereas you get these quick movements back and forth across the map for SK, and that becomes very dangerous, and now Finn is going to learn all about it.
Finn, blast cones out to safety. I mean, it's so dangerous now. Less than 2 minutes on Soul Point for SK. Rogue going to need to take that one away. 1 minute and 30 till the Baron. For now, Rogue happy to just absorb the pressure. Comp will hit the break point. 228 now, continuing to farm. The execute is there. And the fights to come.
It feels like you need a miracle, though, if you're Rogue. Yes, the Smolder has hit that critical mass, but the positioning on these fights is not there. The opportunity to push up is not really there either. You need your frontline to actually provide the frontline, but when SK are just playing for the size, playing for the siege, you can't get in range to do what you need to do.
And earlier in the game, it felt so good. Rogue got away with the free laning phase for the Smolder. But now we see, while their composition has a lot of tools, when SK start to build up this big of a gold lead, who can really protect the Smolder? That is a Camille on the opposite side. Guaranteed, reliable, hard CC to ensure that comp cannot go anywhere, and more than enough damage in the back pocket of Exakick, Nisqy, and Irrelevant to 100-0 him, even through the shield of a Karma.
Well, that's why we're seeing a lot of these protective items coming through to make sure that you're actually going to be able to keep this Smolder up and running. Plus also having those shields coming through from Larssen. It's going to be so important to keep this Smolder alive, even through the dive. Because realistically, Exakick is poke. DOS is the only one that really dives in, maybe with Irrelevant, to try and finish him off. But as long as he can survive that, he's going to be in okay shape. But this is your issue. when you're trying to push forward, when you're trying to get these waves off of your base, the poke is so difficult to deal with.
Yeah. And these are the items. The reason this poke is starting to hit, the Finn and Markoon are relatively okay, is the gold you gave away in these last few plays. Exakick still deathless despite the difficult start. Nisqy able to get double shutdowns.
But look how dark the map is. I mean, shout out to our observers there. You can see they don't know. Irrelevant will pop up every so often, but is Irrelevant coming behind? Because Isma's already in a position, and Irrelevant is going directly towards Comp.
Hook now coming in, or Alti now coming in. Zoelys trying to make it out safety. Irrelevant off to the side. Larssen TPing into the midst of the fight, but there's not a lot to grab. The kill already down. Irrelevant finding one. DOS wants to keep it going. Exakick immediately onto the backside, and they're tearing through Rogue. Larssen holding on. Finn holding on. Can they make it happen? Pulled back onto the tower. Larssen taken out. It is Finn versus the world. Irrelevant says not today. An entire season of despair, of throws. It almost fell apart for SK, but in the moment where it mattered most, they go for the throat. They find the end, and SK Gaming are going to playoffs.
There's woes, there's throws, but at the end of the day, there's still POs for SK. An incredible comeback for SK in that one. We'll see them making it to playoffs.
Confidence, the mental to hold on. Despite a difficult start, they kept it close, they kept it within touching distance. They didn't worry about the Smolder. Kept the eye on the prize on their own win conditions. Punishing Rogue when they overstepped. Taking that Baron in a moment of confidence and gaining control of the game, bringing it home. Condolences, of course, to Rogue. A heroic effort in this final week to get as far as they did to beat SK earlier in the day, but here in the tiebreaker, SK come out on top.
Those moments are going to play on the minds of Rogue, though. So close, and you can see it for Larssen there. They knew they had it. They had the lead. They had those moments, but one or two missteps at vital moments gave this game back to SK. And now it'll be a long old while before we get to see Rogue on our screens once more.
Certainly will be. Rogue and KC stepping away. They'll rejoin us in the summer split. After MSI, a long time for SK, the challenge in front of them. Not a lot of time to prepare. 3 days more of scrims. Recenter yourself, come back. Need to be prepared for the best of threes, a new patch, tons of pressure on the teams who have barely scraped their way into playoffs to try and find this form consistently. But today's SK's day, they found the win. Might have been unlikely, might have been improbable at a lot of stages of that game or across this split, but again, when it mattered, they showed up.
And I think you can see the building blocks are at least there for SK, right? Look, that dive went a little bit miserably on the get-go, but at least they understood, hey, we need to try and play aggressive. This is how we want to try and work with it. If that had gone well, maybe it could have been a very different early game. DOS's roams towards mid start to look significantly stronger. So at least for SK, you can still see that they have the correct mindset for going into how they want to operate in these games, but they need to clean it up very quickly.
Definitely do. I mean, still some oopsies, still some risks. The bot lane was difficult, right? We can't pretend like the split was miraculous,
sunshine
right?
and rainbows.
It was not sunshine and rainbows. It was for a lot of those games, and then those games turned against them. Then they threw it away. The BDS game, a 7K gold lead. But frankly, you made it. You can wash away the sins. All that matters now is the playoffs, which sit in front of you. For now, though, that's enough from us at the caster desk. We're sent it down to Trouble and a victorious Swiffer after that very tense game.
Thank you, guys. Awesome cast. It's been a very, very long day. Swiffer, thank you for joining me. Congratulations on making playoffs.
Thank you.
It's been a very, very, very long day for you too. But before we get to it, backstage referees are performing the draw for playoffs as we speak, and the results will be revealed in PGL in about 10 minutes. So until then, just stick around with us for a few minutes. Swiffer.
Yep.
A little bit of a sigh of relief?
Oh, you've got no idea. Actually, I was watching the Smolder, get a kill.
Looking at your watch,
and I was
time.
just like, anyway, yeah. Can't swear on stage, so it's a bit like that, isn't it?
Thank you, really appreciate it.
That's all right, no problem. Yeah.
Now, you had to play Rogue twice today.
Yep.
Was there anything that you guys particularly learned from the first game?
Yeah, that they were really happy with the bot lane trade in draft. That they came in with like a really solid game plan, I think. I think they predicted what we were going to do really, really well. And I think they prepared like the Karma pick well in advance. That was something that like caught us a bit off guard, but I think we adapted really well. Yeah, the guys were down after the first game, but I think they rallied very, very well, bounced back, obviously, as you could see. 3-0 Smolder didn't phase anyone in the game, just played our game.
225 stacks.
Yeah, well, it's a bit scary, isn't it?
Well, you do look a little bit spooked from the stacks right there, but
Yeah.
you guys persevered, and I'm glad that you mentioned draft and how it didn't go so well in the first game, but in the second game, you guys pulled out a Camille. Now, I'm an LPL enjoyer, and I've seen it there paired up with a Jhin, and the synergy is great. What was your approach to that one?
Basically, it was kind of like more in the Smolder kind of triggered it more than anything else, or Zeri or whatever. It was like obviously really good at lockdown. DOS has been spamming it in solo queue. Perfect time to pull it out, make or break game, right? Full faith in him to make it work. So yeah, that was it. That was it.
Wow, in this clip, you're not losing your mind.
No, I've taken up meditation in the last week, so we'll see how that works out.
Hey, it's good that you have Greek genes in you, because that means you do have a lot of hair on your head, still.
It's waning. Don't have too much left in me.
Okay, I don't want to bring any of the spooky stuff back, Swiffer, but I would like you to reflect a little bit on that regular season, because it didn't necessarily go as you guys expected. So what is your approach as a coach moving forward to playoffs?
Yeah, I think it's just really important not to lose sight of the actual game states that we were in, especially last week. I think that if we were more focused, more driven, I'm not like, it's a bit of a loose term, right? But I think we would be feeling a lot more confident if we had managed to convert some of those wins. I think the guys just needed like to remember what it felt like to win the game.
Okay, and what do you do as a coach when your team actually loses that confidence? Because we've seen a bunch of clips. There's some coaches that go backstage, slam hands on the table. Is that your approach too?
Not particularly. I think it's important to try and diagnose like why everything's going wrong. I think we actually did manage to do that quite well. But it's kind of just about like reminding the players like why they do what they do, you know, why they enjoy the game, like why we're all here. And I think like once they realize that, it's like, oh yeah, it's not as complicated as we thought, and then they're able to play the game again.
Well, that's the great approach. They did play the game again. Yeah. It took them 2 today to make it, but they actually did. Now, Swiffer, looking into playoffs, what is one team, because you talked about confidence, right? You want to be playing possibly the team that you are more sure that you're going to beat. So which team would that be looking into the teams that have made it into playoffs?
I mean, I think it's a kind of a cop-out answer, isn't it? But I genuinely think that every team that's qualified like deserves to be where they are. I think at least they're a lot more consistent than we are. If I
give me the non-PR answer.
Yeah, I'm really thinking about that, aren't I? No, I can't. Like I think genuinely, I do believe that if we manage to build this momentum and we just ride this confidence, then I don't really give a shit who we play.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Ευχαριστώ, Swiffer. And
we're
going to throw it over to PGL, because maybe Nisqy and DOS will have an answer on who they would like to play in playoffs.